Working on I Ain't Worried was such a great experience. First of all, the songwriting, composition. I loved the song the minute I heard it, knowing that it could potentially, because we didn't know for sure back then if it was going to get picked for the movie, but knowing that it could potentially be in Top Gun was like, wow, you know, this is going to be an iconic film, so the pressure was high. But, you know, once you get into it, you kind of forget about the whole, oh, this could be in one of the biggest films of the year, and you think, how can I maximize the feeling of the record? And you start thinking about how can I make the drums pop a little more? How can I make that vocal sit in the mix in a way that's like immediate, but it's still, you know, not too much on top. You start thinking about things like, oh, what is the aesthetic I want to give to the record? What kind of vocal effect could I add to emphasize the swag of the lead vocals? And, you know, I got to work with brilliant producers on this record: Brent Kutzle, Ryan Tedder, Tyler Spry, and Simon Oscroft. All of those guys are fantastic and a pleasure to work with. Great talent. What it means to be part of a record like that: when you start any record, you don't know if it's going to be successful or not. You don't know how people are going to respond. And to see the response right now with the record doing so well on Spotify, on the Billboard, has been incredible. I'm humbled and honored to be part of that. I think a well-produced song is subjective. People will look at one song and love the production, but sometimes they're listening to the songwriting. They're listening to the quality of the delivery. Delivery, for me as a producer, is probably the thing I chase the most. You know, when we're doing vocals with any artist, I'm always chasing a X factor delivery. So it needs to be special. It can't just be like, oh, it's on time, it's on pitch. Sure, these things are great. But if you look at any legendary record, any record that you truly look up to, there's always one thing in common: performance, whether it be vocals, guitar. There's always something magical going on. After that, there's a lot of boxes that you can check that define, you know, at least on paper, a good production. The quality of the transitions between the sections, the energy management, how well is the production supporting the vocal performance, the quality of the tone of the instruments. It all goes on and on and on and on. But the truth is, nothing matters more than how does the record make you feel. And that, to me, comes back to the quality of how well you deliver a performance. Honestly, performance is everything. And I would say the second thing is the energy curve of the record, how well you can manipulate that. Demo-itis is real, and you learn to live with it by having discussions with the artist. If somebody loves something about a rough, you should be aware of it from the get-go. Communicating very early on as a mixer is extremely important. You want to know where the artist's head is at. You also want to learn to recognize what is good about an existing rough mix, whether it be the quality of the knock of the drums, how the vocal is sounding, anything that grabs your attention, not from necessarily a technical point of view, but from a feeling perspective. And that's one thing as a mixer that, you know, if you chase a feeling more than a sound, sometimes it pays off a lot more. This is one thing I've learned. Every time I've been too technical, I've made better decisions when I was chasing a feeling than when I was chasing a frequency curve, let's say. The advice I would give on how to deal with demo-itis is definitely communicate. Communicate with the artist, communicate with the producer. Pick up the phone, man. You know, in the world of email and text messages where things are extremely impersonal, it's so important to have these conversations because we're making art. And if we're not communicating, if we're not talking about ideas, how can we communicate a feeling? And communicating a feeling is 90% of your mix job. If you're doing that, I'm not saying that you will never, ever run into demo-itis again, because that'd be impossible. But that will make you understand what causes demo-itis and how to kind of work around it.